What is up, guys? Delboy here. So, this is my prediction video for Anthony Joshua versus Wladimir Klitschko. This fight takes place on the 29th of April, and it is for Joshua's IBF heavyweight title, and the WBA heavyweight title is also going to be on the line, which is currently vacant. I've been back and forth for this fight, I can't lie. I've been back and forth on it. I've been thinking, one day I'll be thinking, well, Joshua's going to have way too much. He's going to be too young. He's going to be too quick. He's going to be too powerful for this version of Wladimir Klitschko. And the next day I'm thinking, if Wladimir just turns up for one more night, surely he's going to have too much for Joshua. I mean, I'm really struggling where to go on this one. I really am. I mean, if you look at both guys in the build-up, I've been impressed with both guys. Joshua does look a little more tense than usual, but this is his first big fight. It's his first major test. So that's nothing bad. That's nothing unusual. We've all seen fighters look tense in build-ups, and then they get the job done. For example, like George Groves versus Carl Froch 2. In fight week, I felt Carl Froch looked really not worried, but he looked anxious and nervous, but he got the job done. So being nervous or being apprehensive before the fight, there's nothing wrong with that. So Joshua he's been confident, he said the right things, but there's just a little air of being a bit, it's the unknown for Joshua, put it that way. As for Wladimir, he's looked very composed in the build-up. He's looked very calm. He seems very confident. So, Wladimir is saying the right things in the lead-up to this fight. He's been doing a little bit of trash talking here and there. Trying to play some subtle mind games. Wladimir looks like Wladimir in the build-up. Trying to be the wise old master kind of thing. And I've been impressed with both guys, but Wladimir does look really confident. And where does he get that confidence from? You have to ask that question. These guys have sparred before. Maybe it stems from the sparring. Maybe Wladimir is confident in handling Joshua's style. Who knows? But I'm sure we probably talk about the build-ups too much. I think we talk about the psychology too much as well in the lead up to fights. Once the bell rings, it all goes out the window really. So probably should leave that one alone. But let's talk about these guys' attributes. I mean, in terms of sort of speed, I would say Joshua has quicker hands at this stage, but Wladimir has quicker feet. When Joshua throws his shots together, his hands are much faster than Wladimir's. But Wladimir has always had extremely quick feet and very good footwork. Even in the Fury fight that he lost, his feet were still quick and he was still bouncing up and down on his legs. His legs still look fine. Thing is with Wladimir, his legs look fine, and they looked fine in the Jennings fight. It's just in the last two fights he's really struggled to sort of find the target and let go of his punches. He's really sort of struggled. So was that just some bad form? Was that something the opponents were doing, or is Wladimir starting to really wind down now? Is he really starting to deteriorate? Yeah, you have to ask yourself that question, because his feet don't look that bad. His feet still look really good, but just he's not been sort of landing on target as much as he used to. So yeah, in terms of hand speed, it goes to Joshua. In terms of foot speed and footwork, you've got to give it to Wladimir. In terms of pure boxing ability and skill set and defence, if we're looking at prime Wladimir and we're comparing it to Joshua, I'll definitely say Wladimir is a more skilled fighter than Joshua in terms of defence and the sweet science kind of thing. I think Wladimir is a better technician than Joshua. But as I said, what Wladimir's left, what version of Wladimir are we going to get? That's what makes this fight so hard to predict. And obviously the fact that we've not really seen Joshua in with a top 10 level heavyweight. That's what makes this one really hard for me. But I mean, I'm going to go on the basis that Wladimir is slightly past his sell-by date, and what I saw in his last two fights were not merely just a bit of poor form, but were the deterioration of one of the better heavyweights of the last 30 or 40 years. That's how I'm going to look at it. I think Wladimir is slowing down. As I said, his hands are definitely... His ability to sort of pick those sort of quick counters has not been as apparent in the last couple of fights. It's not been there. The sharpness hasn't been there. He moves the same. His feet are still good, like I said, but he's just not picking out those shots. And I'm just saying that's going to be down. I'm saying that's down to Wladimir aging and getting older and slowing down. That's what I'm going to say it's down to. That's what I'm gambling on. So when you look at it like that, I think it's a very evenly matched fight. I think both guys still have attributes that they can trouble each other with. I think Joshua, we've seen Joshua start strong in multiple fights. We saw him start strong against Dillian Whyte in the first round. He really came out strong, looking for the knockout. He came out quite quickly against Charles Martin. He was really on his P's and Q's in that fight, looking for quick counters, trying to stay out of harm's way. And even against Brazil, he was lighting Brazil up from early. Joshua does start fairly quickly, and he's had to because he's not really gone in the second half of fights, but he does start quickly. He's very razor sharp early, and I think that's Joshua's best chance, is to really start razor fast, like he did against Charles Martin. Not be reckless, but be very, very, very calm, and look for those counters, because at this stage, I really think Joshua can get in on Wladimir and catch him with counters. Particularly, I could see Joshua countering over the jab. He's quick enough for it, and obviously Klitschko's slowing down. I could easily see Joshua countering over Vladimir's jab, particularly when he sort of pours the jab out. Sometimes with Wladimir, he won't sort of use it as a hard punch, but he'll pour it out, and I can definitely see Joshua sort of capitalising on that and countering over it. The only thing with that is, I mentioned about foot speed. Has Joshua got the foot speed to do it? I think he does, but we'll see. I can definitely see counter opportunities for Joshua early on, and that's what I think his best chances. I think he needs to really get in front of Wladimir early, and try to beat him to the punch. Essentially, he needs to crack Wladimir early. We all know Vladimir's not got a great chin. So if Wladimir knows he's in the fight early, I'd say that would make Wladimir gun shy. He was gun shy against Tyson Fury, not because of Tyson Fury's power, but his awkward style and his herky-jerky movement. And I think he'd be gun shy if Joshua tags him early, because Wladimir doesn't have a best chin, and I think he knows he hasn't got the best chin either. So when Wladimir gets cracked, if he gets cracked early and buzzed, he's not going to be letting his hands go, people. He's going to be very low output. So Joshua needs to crack him early and sort of put Wladimir in his place early. And if a knockout comes early, he'll take it, because Joshua is a very good finisher. And when Klitschko's hurt, I don't think he's particularly a great survivor. All he does is hold. Doesn't do anything special. He just tries to hold you. So one thing Team Joshua need to do, they need to practice how to deal with someone holding you when they're hurt. Hopefully they've been doing that in training. One thing that I've always said when people fight Klitschko, and not many people have done, when Klitschko tries to sort of lead him with sort of clinches, because sometimes when Klitschko clinches, he doesn't even throw a punch then clinch. He'll just clinch straight away without throwing a punch. He'll lead with a clinch, essentially. When Klitschko does that, try a sneaky uppercut on the inside. That's a shot that's always been there, but nobody's used it against Klitschko. Sneaky uppercut on the inside when Klitschko tries to clinch. That's going to be there. And if you hit Klitschko with shots you can't see coming, it's going to be trouble for Wladimir. So I think Joshua's best chance is to get it done early, personally. I'm not saying he can't win on the distance, because as I said, if AJ does sort of catch Wladimir early, he's going to be gun shy, therefore making it easier for AJ to win rounds because of the activity. But I think if AJ's to win this fight, I think he does it early. That's my personal opinion. I think he does it early to mid kind of thing. Sort of the first 6 rounds. That's what I think. That's how I think Joshua's best chance lie, in the first 6 rounds, just by essentially being a younger guy, being a quicker guy, and getting to Wladimir. And yeah, I think that's AJ's best chance. But there are some things I would like to see from Joshua. He has got a really good uppercut. He needs to utilise that when Wladimir goes in for the clinches, because it's there. That's one thing I was shouting at Povetkin to do when he fought Wladimir. Use the uppercut. So yeah, I think ultimately, Joshua needs to be patient. He needs to find that chin early. He needs to be strong in the clinch, and that's how I think he wins a fight. He does it early to mid. Can he win on points? Of course he can, but because he's a younger guy, he may be fresher. Of course he can win on points, but I just think if he wins, it's going to be inside the distance and inside the first 6. As for Wladimir, how does he win the fight? Likewise, I think Wladimir maybe needs to find the target early. He might need to buzz Joshua, with a right hand or a left hook. He needs to get Joshua's respect early, because Joshua, throughout his career, he's not really respected his opponents. He's apart from the Charles Martin fight where he's really on his P's and Q's. I wouldn't say he's been sort of overly concerned with what his opponent has got coming back, kind of thing. And Wladimir needs to play on that, because I think Joshua is very wary of Klitschko, and that's what I made a note of it in the build-up, how Joshua seems a little apprehensive, and if that is the case, he needs to reaffirm that on fight night and catch Joshua early, because if he does, AJ knows he can't fuck about. He knows he can't just wade in. He knows he's going to be at risk when he lets his hands go. So, just like I said about Joshua needing to catch Klitschko early, I really feel Wladimir needs to catch Joshua early. I really do, to slow down the steam and to make Joshua think a bit and make him burn up energy by just thinking, because you do burn up energy when you overthink. I mean, if you guys have boxed before, if you even sparred, I've only sparred, but every time I sparred with a overactive mind, and when I sparred, and every time I used to spar when I was thinking too much, so I'd be thinking about what combinations I'm going to throw, how I'm going to fight, tactics for fighting that style or whatever. When I used to think like that, I always found I used to just, firstly, I wasn't as effective, but secondly, I used to get tired quicker. And I think obviously that's probably down to me overthinking it. But when I used to spar and kind of just sort of do it sort of off a fly kind of thing, I used to be better. I used to be much more relaxed, and in terms of energy, I don't think I burned up as much energy. I was always had pretty shit cardio, but yeah, I felt I was always more effective when I kind of just was more relaxed and just sort of done it off the top kind of thing. So yeah, Wladimir needs to crack Joshua early, get him thinking, get him anxious, and make him realise this is a hard fight. So yeah, I mean, and I think obviously we all know about Klitschko, what his MO is. He's the king of the jab. In terms of their jabs, you've got to say Klitschko has a better jab. Joshua's got a good jab, but it's not quite as dominant as Wladimir's. I see Joshua doing multiple things. I've seen him lead with right hands. I've seen him throw lead left hooks. I've seen him get creative in the ring, but I've never really seen Joshua be so reliant on his jab like Wladimir is. So if Wladimir can really get that jab pumping and get it on target and get some big thumping jabs working, beat AJ to the jab and sort of maintain a distance, then that's another good start. If Wladimir comes out and starts to out jab Joshua and gets sort of 2 or 3 rounds in the bank, how is Joshua going to react to that? How is Joshua going to react when he's a few rounds down on the cards? If Wladimir can do that, that's another thing we've not seen. Joshua being behind in a fight. How is that going to affect him? So maybe Wladimir needs to get behind that jab, pick up the points, because if it becomes a jabbing match, I'd be very shocked if Joshua comes out on top. Even now, I would be shocked. So Wladimir needs to get on his jab. It's his best weapon. So common sense tells you that Wladimir needs to get on that jab and pop it out and look for that odd right hand here and there to really make Joshua think. And ultimately, I feel that if Wladimir is Wladimir at 100%. He just needs to do what he always done. Box at range, look for that right hand counter. The leaping left hook is going to be there because Joshua does drop his right hand sometimes. Sometimes his right hand, if he's thrown like a straight right, for example, sometimes Joshua is extremely slow to bring it back. That's one thing I've noticed. It's not super regular. He doesn't do it every time, but certain times he'll throw his right hand really crisply, but then he'll kind of bring it back in an awkward motion. It won't sort of snap back to him and back on his chin. He kind of sort of loops it around, kind of thing. And maybe Wladimir can catch him if he's missed a right hand, and Wladimir can come in with that left hook. Maybe that's a shot that's going to be there for Wladimir. So I think Vladimir's definitely got the tools to win this fight. I think Joshua's got the tools to win the fight. I can carry on with technical breakdowns and how certain guys can do something and whatnot, but it's going to get a bit long-winded. But ultimately, I'm just going to have to make a pick. Yesterday, when I was going to make this video yesterday, and I was genuinely thinking Klitschko's going to win the fight, but I thought about it this morning, and I just think the timing's right. I mean, well, Vladimir's going to be 40. Is he going to be 41 when this fight happens? And obviously Joshua is coming up to his prime. And as I said earlier in the video, I feel Wladimir isn't the same guy he was 3 or 4 years ago. I think he's not shot, but definitely think he's past his best. You know, he just in terms of his offense and the fact that he can't really pick his shot anymore. That's why I think Vladimir's past his best. And I think Joshua is going to do the job. I think he's going to get to Wladimir in the mid-rounds, early to mid-rounds, like I said. That's how I see this fight going down. I see Joshua winning this fight by early to mid TKO/KO. But that's not a confident pick, but I've got to pick somebody. Nobody wants to break down and then someone say at the end of it, do you know what, I'm going to sit on the fence. We don't do that on this channel. We're going to pick Anthony Joshua to win the fight. I'm a big fan of both guys. I really like the way they do their business. Some people call these guys boring. Not for me. I'm interested to hear these guys speak. And I'm looking forward to this fight. I think I'm a big fan of both fighters, but I think it's better if Joshua wins the fight for boxing, personally. But I obviously won't be mad if Wladimir wins, because I've been a Wladimir fan for a little while now. You know? I mean, Wladimir Klitschko, to me, I'm a young boxing fan. I'm only 22, nearly 23. But Wladimir, to me, has been one of the guys who have symbolised my era, or the era that I got into boxing. Wladimir is one of the guys who really sort of stood out in that era. So he's always going to be one of a fighter that I like. But I think Joshua is going to have way too much at this stage. What do you guys think? Peace.